Hi Zoe, how has the pandemic and being homebound affect your art world?
My world stopped being very compartmentalised, and I began to see the lines blur more than previously between home, teaching, the spaces of my own art practice. And this intimacy and sketchy boundary isn't something that I've ever really worried about. So it was something that I leapt at, and I found that the breaking down of architectural borders is fascinating, and the generosities of you students, my colleagues, is extraordinary, and we've been in each other's homes and lives. I've been homebound more than most. I haven't actually left my home. So the insight into all of your worlds and practices has been like travel to distant lands. I've come to know them, and I've appreciated all of your willingness to reach into your homes for inspiration, to be resourceful, ambitious, and dynamic. Who knew how far these walls could be stretched?
Is there something you want us stage 3 painters and other artists to keep in mind moving forward with our journey?
That your best asset is each other. And these past few years, we've worked together talking about art and how to make it, about studio, the contexts, ethics, materialities, politics, and environments of practice. And this is all important. But in reality, and perhaps now more than ever, it's how you continue these conversations as a mutually supportive and critical group of practitioners that will sustain you. Keep the conversation going.
We can see that you're standing in the online degree show. Please could you tell us a little bit about how the show came together?
Instead of a degree show, we asked you all to submit a visual proposal, knowing that this would be a useful thing to do anyway, and that we felt that you already had all of the skills to be able to do this exceptionally well. So the what replaced what we'd normally ask for at the end in terms of an exhibition was a proposal using your own work as a jumping off point, and all of the things that you would know about it, and all of the things that you knew you wanted to retain of the work to date. And thinking about a location for it, a mode of curation, a way of bringing things together, and producing a proposal for us that could show us how it might have been manifested. But rather than stick to Wimbledon College of Arts, which, you know, is as limiting as any, that's actually the noise of my dishwasher. But rather than stick to Wimbledon College of Arts, which obviously is fairly limiting in its scope, like any actual building is, we decided that it would be useful to think of placing your exhibitions, your publications, your final manifestation of works anywhere. So we said it could take place anywhere from the International Space Station to the Whitechapel Art Gallery, and to, of course, the existing location of a potentialised empty space of Wimbledon College of Arts. When the proposals came in, they were for all sorts of places, some established, like the Orangerie in Paris, and others less established, spaces that had been conjured up by the imagination. And they ranged from designing a cult to sending a miniature pop-up exhibition to our own addresses. So they were micro and macro, and incredibly exciting to see.
We noticed in the online degree show There's many different types of work taking different forms, and we were wondering what's still considered painting?
Well, all of you started with painting, and for many of us coming into studying fine art, it's a go-to specialism, given how it's a prioritised form of art making in schools. And then during the course of the degree, we see how an expanded field of painting becomes increasingly prioritised for many of you. And this is exciting, and it creates the breadth of practice that you see in this show. I've often thought that there is a wetness at the outset that unites all of these forms. The wet medium of paint, the slipperiness of glue, or even of an idea, the setting of concrete, the spreading of forms across the room. And we all seem to begin with something that is floppy or unmanageable, that either dries or goes still or becomes located, with histories of painting as a precursor and an unwavering reference point. I'm not willing to give up on specialised teaching, perhaps particularly within painting, because it still needs to become less of a club. We can't let it go until everyone initially left out gets to have a go or be re-invited.
What do you think made the painting course in Wimbledon so special?
Well, I hope that you've been enabled to contribute to your experience. That's important. And we as a group of staff, we're aware that we model an artistic life in a positive way for you, rich with our own careful friendships that we allow you to witness. And we know it's a risk to study art, to do a painting degree. I mean, this makes it doubly important that we reinforce this as something that you want to continue to take on and to co-own. And there are all the other things. There were studios that had social names, they're named after nightclubs, and activities that are never delivered but contributed to by you all. And of course, you're all known by name, by your own identities as practitioners, by your work, and most importantly as people, and nobody got lost. So I want to ask you, what made it so special for you?
Yeah, as for my experience, I was incredibly shy and reserved before coming to Wimbledon, and yeah, I think stage 1 I was definitely a caterpillar, and stage 2 was becoming a cocoon, and on the last year, stage 3, I really enjoyed it even more because I kind of came out of my shell and became a butterfly. Yeah, the staff and the students were incredibly generous and passionate, and they were all very kind to each other. And yeah, it's definitely worthwhile.
That progression means a lot. Asking a first year student to feel confident to make art publicly seems like a very big ask. And I know that what you've all chosen to do is pretty risky. I think that in the feminist art school, in an art school that strives towards ethical behaviours and anti-racism, we need to keep our hierarchies on the down low and assume that we have all come together via a connectedness to a type of life and a set of interests that are not easy to maintain, but somehow glue us together. The staff don't necessarily know more. We have just been doing it a lot longer, and it's cumulative.
Could you tell us a memorable moment so far this year? It could be an online moment or an offline.
Offline, the most memorable moment for me was the moment that Jake, in our third year, arrived at the private view of our group exhibition at the Copeland Gallery in Peckham to find that we'd hung his work outside in a light box. And this work was a sensitive drawing of another student, Hannah, and became the face that looked out from the show and an entry point to this wonderful exhibition. And essentially, it was the last evening that we were all together. This highly resolved group of works and the noise of the evening was impressive, but Jake's face stays in my mind as his arrival marked the moment between hanging a show and celebrating it. And online, There's so many, some casual, like stepping into your worlds of art making in ways that were revealing and active. The camaraderie of my own team of artists as we rewrote everything that we knew about teaching in late March and early April. The way that laughter looks as an emoji among 115 people. But a highlight was when, at the end of this year, we received all of your work, second and third year, and I knew that you'd lost nothing, that these emergent, complex, sophisticated, daring practices had all been buoyed somehow by this global mess, and that you'd risen to the occasion in a way that gives me hope for art making more broadly.
And we're sad to let it go, but I'm sure that everyone's leaving with only good memories of our very well loved campus. And yeah, I'm proud to be a part of it. Thank you. Bye.